learners, I hope you all are doing great at home and you all are very warmly welcome to my online classes where you can learn absolutely free of cost. But still we are not getting response from you all. Why you are not subscribing? Just go and subscribe our channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon, as you won't be notified if you don't hit the bell icon. Okay, so we want more response from you and we want some more subscription from your side. Just go and subscribe the subscribe button, okay, and go and subscribe our channel. Okay, so today we are once again going to learn the rise of nationalism in Europe, because we have completed the Four Princes and the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Code and what happens after what are the advantages and disadvantages of Napoleonic rule. And in our previous video, we have discussed about how the idea of nationalism came into existence and how the idea of nation state, what was the importance, why it has come into existence, the idea of nation state. Okay, so first point we have learned was the aristocracy and the new middle class, the fight between them, and the emergence of new middle class led to the initiation of the idea of the nationalism. Okay, so first point we have read the idea of liberalism, to get a free country, to get freedom, to get liberty. Okay, now this one also we have completed. Now it's time to know the third reason, which is a new conservatism after 1815. So we know after 1815 the Napoleon he got defeated in the battle, and after 1815 what happens? A new conservatism starts in Europe. Okay, now I would like each one of you to take out your book, as I would prefer to give you line by line explanation, so that even though if you don't want to read the book, by seeing or hearing to my video you can learn the lesson. As history is a history, means a man's story. So if you don't have a book, you can at least listen to the story which I am telling to you and you can remember easily. Okay, so take out your book and just listen to what I am reading. Okay, so let's see what happens and how the conservatism emerged just in Europe. Now, following the defeat of Napoleon in 1815, European governments were driven by a spirit of conservatism. Now, what is this conservatism? It's actually a political philosophy where they have an idea to restore once again the monarchy, to restore all the traditions, to restore all the traditional institutions like churches, their institution, all the traditional institutions they were having, everything they want to restore once again. So it's a political philosophy that stresses the importance of tradition, which stresses on the importance of tradition, how to restore the tradition, established the institution and customs, and preferred gradual development to quick change. Now you write down what is conservatism. Okay, what is conservatism? Okay, it's a political philosophy. It's a political philosophy which stresses on the importance of traditions, and it established the institutions and the customs, and preferred gradual development to quick change. Okay, so this is the conservatism. feudalism. Their idea was to establish once again the traditions, all the traditional customs and institutions. Okay, so let's read further. Conservatives believe that established traditional institution of state and society like the monarchy, the church, social hierarchies, property and the family should be preserved. So according to them, we should preserve the social institutions, our means what is that, hierarchies, our so private properties and churches, our traditional institutions, everything should be preserved. Okay. Most conservatives, however, did not propose a return to the society of pre-revolutionary days. But most of the conservatives, they didn't propose to return to the customs which prevailed in the pre-revolutionary days. So we know that after pre-revolutionary means before the French Revolution, they had done a lot of struggle to get to make French Revolution a success. So some conservatives, most of the conservatives they didn't propose to go before the pre-revolutionary ages. Okay, rather they realized from the changes initiated by Napoleon that modernization could in fact strengthen traditional institutions like the monarchy. Rather, they thought that even through modernization, they can restore, they can even strengthen the power of monarchy. Though their customs, their culture was different to strengthen monarchy, nowadays they thought that through modernization also they can strengthen the monarchical rule. Monarchical rule is nothing but the autocratic rule, but the supreme power rests on the ruler. Okay. It could make state power more effective and strong. A modern army and efficient bureaucracy. Efficient bureaucracy means what you know? Normally in a state or in a country, the power rests on the elected representative. But in bureaucracy, the power rests on the state officials rather than the elected representatives. In bureaucracy, the power rests on the state officials, not the elected representative. Okay. A dynamic economy, the abolition of feudalism and serfdom could strengthen the autocratic monarchs in Europe. So by following all this, even they are following all this, still they can strengthen the autocratic monarchical rule in Europe. Okay. So they understood that by maintaining all the qualities and all the principles of modernization, they can still strengthen the monarchical rule in Europe. Okay. In 1815, representatives of European power like Britain, Russia, Prussia and Austria, who had collectively defeated Napoleon, met at Vienna to draw up a settlement for Europe. So what they done? The European powers like Britain, Russia, Prussia and Austria, who had collectively defeated Napoleon. So they collectively defeated Napoleon. What they done? They met at Vienna to sign a treaty which is known as the Treaty of Vienna. Okay. The Congress was hosted by Austrian Chancellor Duke Metternich. So who was the Chancellor at that meeting? That is Duke Metternich. Okay. Duke Metternich. The delegates drew up the Treaty of Vienna of 1815. So the Treaty of Vienna, when it was very important. The Treaty of Vienna, okay, under the leadership of Duke Metternich. Okay, the Chancellor was Duke Metternich. Treaty of Vienna, 1815, under Duke Metternich. Okay, so it's very important. Now what they have decided in Treaty of Vienna, which the object of undoing most of the changes that had come about in Europe during the Napoleonic Wars. So their intention was to undo, to once again bring back the changes which happened, to just to reverse the changes which has come with the Napoleonic War. The Bourbon dynasty, which had been deposed during the French Revolution, was restored to power. So the Bourbon dynasty, which was deposed, which was thrown out during the French Revolution, was once again restored. And France lost the territories it had annexed under Napoleon. So the France lost all the territories which Napoleon has annexed under him when he was there, and the France lost all its territory, and the Bourbon dynasty was once again restored. A series of states were set up on the boundaries of France to prevent French expansion in future. So a series of states they have set as the boundaries of France. Why? To prevent the French expansion. Thus the kingdom of the Netherlands, which included Belgium, was set up in the north. So in the north, the kingdom of Netherlands, it included Belgium, was set up in the north. Genoa was added to Piedmont in the south. So Genoa, it was added to the Piedmont and in the south. Prussia was given important new territories on its western frontier. So Prussia was given some important territories in the western side, while Austria was given control of northern Italy, and Austria was given the control of northern Italy. But the German Confederation of 39 states that had been set up by Napoleon was left untouched. So they have set up new states under which place it will go and under which state it will go, but the 39 states which Napoleon has set up were left untouched. Okay. In east, Russia was given part of Poland, while Prussia was given portion of Saxony. The main intention was to restore the monarchies that had been overthrown by Napoleon and create a new conservative order in Europe. So the intention, what was the intention of the Treaty of Vienna? Why they were separating the states, and why it is the importance, and why they were doing all those activities? Just to restore, to bring back the autocratic monarchical rule in Europe, which was overthrown by the French Revolution and the Napoleonic War, or the Napoleon. Okay, so the idea was to bring back the monarchy in Europe. Okay, conservative regimes set up in 1815 were autocratic. So of course, if they want the monarchical rule, if they are bringing back the monarchical rule, everything will be autocratic, everything will be vested upon the supreme ruler. They did not tolerate criticism and dissent, and sought to curb activities that question the legitimacy of autocratic government, and they were decided to punish the people who criticize the legitimacy of the government, who criticize the activities of the government, the ability of the government. Okay, autocratic government. Most of them imposed censorship laws to control what was said in newspaper, books, plays and songs, and reflected the ideas of liberty and freedom. So they proposed some censorship. They proposed some laws which, if they find the books, the newspaper, they are publishing laws of liberty and freedom, they should be punished. Okay, clear? Now, associated within the French Revolution. The memory of the French Revolution nonetheless continued to inspire liberals. So the memory of French Revolution, so what they have done, they started to strengthen the memories of the French Revolution, started to strengthen the liberals who wanted liberty, who wanted freedom, freedom in equality, freedom of speech, freedom in every sphere. One of the major issues taken up by the liberal nationalists who criticized the new conservative order was freedom of press. So they started to demand for the freedom of press, because through press they can reach all the people, isn't it? Through press we are reaching. If we want to reach out our thought to all the persons in our country, we use press. So the same way, similarly, they wanted the freedom of press. Why? So that the liberal nationalists who wanted freedom in every sphere, equality in every sphere, they can reach out to all the people and they can make them aware of the benefits of the liberal nationalism. Okay. Now this was the conservatism, why the nationalism came into existence. One of the reason was the emergence of the conservatism also. Okay. Now the next is revolutionaries. So of course, the revolutionaries are those who wanted revolution to get back the freedom, to get back the liberty, which they are saying, to get back the democracy in every sphere. Okay. Now, during the years following 1815, the fear of repression drove many liberal nationalists underground. So, the fear of repression, the fear to that someone can do anything to those liberal nationalists, and they will be punished, they will be severely punished, they will be thrown, they will be sent to exile. This fear, they have drove many national liberalists to the underground. They just stopped raising their voice against the monarchical rule. Okay. Now, some societies sprang up in European states to train revolutionaries and spread their ideas. Still, some revolutionaries, they thought that we shouldn't stop and we shouldn't stop raising our voice. Instead, at underground, they started to making societies which will spread the idea of liberalism, which will spread the idea of nationalism. Okay, so and while staying underground, they planned to make some society. Even they made some societies where they used to teach people about the ideas, the benefits of liberalism and nationalism. Two European states to be revolutionary at this time meant a commitment to oppose monarchical forms that had been established after the Vienna Congress. Now, the idea was to oppose the conservatism, to oppose the monarchical rule which aroused after the Treaty of Vienna or the Vienna Congress. Okay, and to fight for liberty and freedom. Now, the two intentions was of them, the two two aims of those revolutions was to oppose the monarchical rule which resulted because of the Treaty of Vienna and to get freedom and liberty. Most of these revolutionaries also saw creation of nation states as a necessary part of the struggle for freedom. So most of these revolutionaries stressed upon the creation of nation states, because if they are able to create nation states, then the achievement of freedom, achievement of liberty will be easier. One such individual was the Italian revolutionary Giuseppe Mazzini. Born in Genoa in 1807. He became a member of secret society of the Carbonari. As a young man of 24, he was sent into exile. So exile, you know, exile is what you know. Exile is a punishment in which one person is thrown away from his native land. From his native land to a different land. It can be lessly, sparsely populated, or it can be rarely, means no one can be there in that island. Some people in olden days, they used to punish people like sending them into exile to a place where no one used to reside. You have to stay alone with some animals, and they have to gather their own food, and that was the punishment for them. And mostly this punishment they were given to the revolutionaries who used to raise voice against the monarchical rule. Even in our country, when we were seeking independence, people from our country were also sent to exile. So what happened with Giuseppe Mazzini was sent to exile. Okay. In 1831, when he was sent in 1831 for attempting a revolution in Liguria. Okay. He subsequently founded two more underground societies first. So he founded two underground societies. First was the Young Italy in Marseilles, and then Young Europe in Bern, whose members were like-minded young men from Poland, France, Italy and German states. Mazzini believed that God had intended nations to be natural units of mankind. So according to Mazzini, what he believed? Mazzini used to believe that God has made the countries, the nations, to be a unit of mankind, where every mankind can enjoy their freedom, their liberty. Not any person or any autocratic ruler should decide what the others have to do. Okay, that's not correct, isn't it? Any other person, any autocratic ruler cannot decide what each and every individual should pursue, should do. So it should be a nation, a unique nation of mankind. So Italy could not continue to be a patchwork of small states and kingdoms. So Italy cannot become a patchwork. So I have already explained you a patchwork. It's a patchwork is a different persons or places. When you attach in a kingdom, it becomes a patchwork of kingdom. Or even if you take a paper and if you add different color papers in that, so it becomes a patchwork of a paper, different colors. Okay. So it cannot become like that, Italy. It should be unified. Thus, unification alone could be basis of Italian liberty. So, according to him, so unification only brings the liberty in Italy. Following his model, secret societies were set up in Germany, France, Switzerland and Poland. Mazzini's relentless opposition to monarchy and his vision of democratic republic frightened the conservatives. So, by seeing, inspired by his activities, several liberal nationalists, they have sprang up in each and every sphere of Europe, some places like Germany, France, Switzerland and Poland, inspired by Mazzini. And this Mazzini's ideologies and his thoughts of liberalism and nationalism became a threat for whom? For the monarchical conservatives who were trying to restore, who had restored the monarchical rule once again back to the throne of Europe. Okay. Metternich described him as the most dangerous enemy of our social order. So, according to Metternich, who was actually in the charge of the Treaty of Vienna, he has described him as the most dangerous person of our social order. Why? Because according to them, their social order was nothing but monarchical rule. So, according to them, his thoughts, his ideologies were against the monarchical rule. So, definitely he will become a threat to them. He will become a danger for them. Okay. So, I hope you understood the reasons, what were the reasons of the rise of nationalism and what was the reason which helped the emergence of nation states. Okay. So, these all 4 reasons are clear to you. So, I hope you like this video. If I continue further, it will be a very lengthy video and you won't feel to watch the video. So, it's very important for you to watch the video so that you can understand from this video. I hope you like this video. If you like this video, then do me a favor by hitting the like button and share with your friends if you think it's useful for you and your friends. And don't forget to subscribe, okay? Just and always stay tuned with us, and if you have any doubts or if you want some more clarification and something more you want, then pin me down in the comment section, okay? Thanks a lot for staying tuned with us.